Tony D and Little Joan in the background, and this is a screenwriter's take on Cold Mountain, a 2003 movie from Miramax about a Civil War soldier trying to return home. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 17, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So, Renee Zellweger, Best Supporting Actress, she actually deserved it for this movie. Because she's probably the only interesting character in it, in my view. So as always, I'm going to give the non-spoiler review, although it is an old movie. It's like over 20 years old. You might say, why did you watch this movie? Did you hit your head? No. I have a girlfriend, and this is like one of her favorite movies. But since I watched it, I'm going to review it. Honey, don't watch this review, because you know I didn't like it very much. It's not my kind of movie. I mean, it's kind of a it basically, to me, it's kind of like one of those romance novels put to the silver screen, and it is based on a book. So it's a romance novel, and every character with agency, as they say, are women. Like the women do everything, and the men are just sort of there or do bad things or die. So, yeah, it's just. I feel like it's just designed to squeeze as much drama as possible out of a situation and then just end. It doesn't really follow, to me, it definitely isn't very authentic in terms of the Civil War. It doesn't really follow an organic path. It follows, to me, a lot of movie tropes and a lot of story tropes that, you know, I can understand why women who like dramas like it, but to me, it feels like they're playing a lot of sleight of hand with the plot. So yeah, I didn't like it, and it felt long. It felt very long. It was 2 hours. No wonder it was 2.5 hours. I didn't realize it was that long. I would have said no. And the weird thing is, it's about the Civil War. It was shot in Romania, and half the cast isn't from America. So, like Jude Law, not from America. Nicole Kidman, not from America. The two main characters. Brandon Gleeson's in it. Again, as an American. Natalie Portman, not. I believe she's Israeli, got like a dual citizenship. Donald Sutherland, Ray Winstone, these are all non-Americans. Charlie Hunnam, I didn't even recognize him in the movie. There are some American actors, but a lot of the main ones are either English, Australian, or, you know, and I'm just like, it's a movie about the Civil War. Can you not cast Americans in the Civil? What are you going to cast Brandon Gleeson for? Although, I'll tell you, Brandon Gleeson, flawless, as he always is. Absolutely flawless. You wouldn't know the guy has a very thick Irish accent. So, Ethan Suplee's in it. He's American, though. So, that was a little odd. The casting was odd, but this was 2003. So a lot of these were just big names. But as viewers of this channel know, not only is it a romance movie, but it also stars Nicole Kidman and Natalie Portman, who I can't stand in movies. Both of them. Natalie Portman in particular, because I associate her with the terrible prequel movies in Star Wars and the beginning of the downfall of Star Wars. And Nicole Kidman, I just don't think can act. I mean, I saw her in Eyes Wide Shut, which is admittedly a terrible movie, but she was actually married to Tom Cruise during the shooting of that movie. I didn't believe she was married to Tom Cruise, and she plays a character who's married to Tom Cruise's character. So yeah, Another guy who's great in it, though, is Philip Seymour Hoffman. Of course, he was great. He plays a really good character. Kind of in the movie for a little bit, comes back, and then he's done. Giovanna Ribisi is in it too. I mean, everybody you can think of in Hollywood in the early 2000s is in this thing. So I could see why it did well, but man, it's got a lot of stuff in it that, I mean, basically it's about a Confederate soldier who falls in love like 10 minutes before he's about to ship out. And, then he spends the whole movie trying to get back to Nicole Kidman, who's waiting for him. And just about everything that could happen to him happens to him. So, yeah. So this is not a movie for me. Obviously, I don't recommend it. Will you be able to tolerate it sitting with your girlfriend? Well, if your girlfriend is as hot as mine, yes. But let's break it down in spoilers. First act, it keeps cutting back and forth between Jude Law in the present, which starts him in the Civil War, and Jude Law in the past when he first meets Nicole Kidman. So it keeps cutting back and forth, and the timeline advances. And then at some point, it's kind of synced up to the present, with cutting back and forth between Nicole Kidman back home waiting for him and struggling, and Jude Law trying to make it back to Cold Mountain, which, it's a name. So it opens strong. It has a brutal Civil War scene, which I think is based after an actual battle. The Union guys blow up some of the Confederates' defenses and then charge them. Unfortunately, they charge right into the crater that their explosion created, and it keeps them boxed in. And then the weird thing is the Confederate guys say, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, and they just start shooting down at them. But then some of the guys end up falling in or going down there. It's like, what? Wouldn't you just surround the hole and shoot everybody? I mean, they kind of do, but like, it's sort of a weird, chaotic scene. And then one of Jude Law's buddies, he's dying in the hospital because they have barely any medicine or barely any medical procedures at this time. And then we meet Brendan Gleeson's character, who he's the fiddler who has to cheer people up, but he only knows like 2 songs. So then they send Jude Law out to hunt down some Union guys who were left after the battle. And along the way, and he's been following them all the way up until this moment, is an Indian chief, or an Indian guy who's got a knife, and he's super cool, and he's quiet and stoic, and he's just murdering guys left and right. And he's obviously Jude Law's sidekick, but they kind of don't really talk about him. And it felt like, oh yeah, don't worry, he's a Confederate, but he has a multiracial friend, so you can like him. So then he gets killed, and Jude Law gets shot in the neck trying to save him. Right? I'm pretty sure he's dead. I mean, they didn't show him die, but he was pretty dead. So Jude Law's lying there, and meanwhile, back at Cold Mountain, Nicole Kidman's having some problems. Her father is Donald Sutherland, who's a nice guy, and there's some tension between him and a guy named Teague. And Teague is the guy in the movie who is so cartoonishly evil, he might as well be wearing a giant neon sign around his neck that says, "Hi, I'm evil." Anyhow, he resents everybody in town because his family used to own the entire mountain. and he apparently wants the entire mountain for himself or something. So then, after Donald Sutherland dies, he tries to move in, put the moves on Nicole Kidman, his daughter, right? And obviously, like, everybody hates Teague. And he's been appointed captain of the Home Guard, so he becomes the law locally, and, like, seemingly immediately hires the biggest psychos that he could possibly find, including a blonde guy who's totally out of his mind, and just immediately starts oppressing everyone. Yeah, I mean, it just comes off that way to me. It's a bit nuts. So Nicole Kidman's situation slowly deteriorates because she has no skills whatsoever. But enter Renee Zellweger, who actually breathes life into this movie that I was dying. So Renee plays a country girl who knows how to do everything, right? She's run a farm by herself. She's one of those, like, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps characters. So in exchange for letting her run the farm and live there and have food, she's going to teach Nicole Kidman how to survive. And she does. And suddenly they're both taking off and doing all kinds of cool stuff. Meanwhile, there's another older couple, and I think they're hiding their sons because the Home Guard is, again, run by psychos, and they at this point, like, everybody's deserting, and they're forcing them back to the front lines or whatever. So the Home Guard shows up to their house because Teague actually resents the family because they're another one of the interlopers who bought up a farm, and he thinks he should own it. So he abuses his authority to kill the dad and then torture the mom, lure the boys out, kill them. A lot of murder. I mean, it was a little much. Like, at that point, I was like, this movie's really unbalanced because, now you've killed, like, well, they killed 3 people. The mother eventually survives because Nicole Kidman and Renee Zellweger save her. And at that point, I just wanted them to go shoot those other guys, but by that time, they had left. At the same time, Jude Law is recovering somewhat in the hospital, and he just decides to desert at a time when everybody warns him, oh man, don't desert, they're all going to get you. So he just says, screw that, I got to go to my girlfriend. So he just deserts the army and gets away. But then he's starving. And so every time we cut back to Jude Law, he's eating something crazier. The first thing he eats is he just reaches down into some sand and pulls out what looks like little hermit crabs. Just starts chomping them, like, right out of the sand. Like, didn't even rinse them off. To which I'm like, wouldn't that have a lot of parasites in it? Like, is that wise? Just, like, shoving crabs, little tiny crabs in your mouth? Maybe they were crawdads, but I just thought, that's a bit much. That's a bit much. But that's what he does, and through the rest of the movie, he's looking for food. At one point, he finds some rotten corn. He's trying to eat that. At one point, like, he hears a rustling in the cornfield, and I go, escape slave, calling it right now, escape slave. And sure enough, a bunch of escaped slaves comes out of the cornfield. For some reason, they're carrying a giant basket of eggs. And Jude Law's like, hey, I'll buy an egg. I'll give you $1 for an egg. And they're like, screw you. And they just run. And then, of course, the Home Guard shows up, and he's got to run from them. Then they come back to Nicole Kidman, and she's slowly getting spun up on how to run a farm by Renee Zellweger. Why she's constantly being harassed by Teague, who can't just leave it alone. Like, dude, find another chick. You can abuse your power all you want. There's really nothing in the movie to lead me to believe that Teague has a genuine interest in Nicole Kidman. it just feels like a weird focus because that's what the movie has to do. And that's what I really didn't like about this movie. Teague was just ridiculously evil. And at this point, he had killed so many people. Like, okay, why not just kill her and then go find somebody else and just take the farm for yourself at that point? I mean, he killed a bunch of people already. Seems like he would get away with killing her. Anywho, they cut back to Jude Law. And the movie seems to try to, like, I guess, justify Jude Law and Nicole Kidman being on the Confederate side. So, like, part of the story is Nicole Kidman frees all her slaves, and now she can't run the farm, which seems dumb. Like, I get it. Like, you can't run the farm by yourself, but, like, but you're so intent to prove it to everybody that you're not, one of the real Confederates, that you're going to free your slaves and then, basically start starving to death. Like, I don't know. Why don't you work out a deal with the slaves? Say, all right, you're not slaves anymore, but I need your help to farm. So you're like, farm the land for me and let me eat, and then you guys could stay here. Like something. Nope. She just freed her slaves and they left, and that was that, and left her on her own. Like, seems to me like she could have worked that out a little better. But anyhow, Jude Law is going on one mini adventure after another. He gets to this town, and Seymour Hoffman's there. Well, first he gets to the river, and Seymour Hoffman's about to drown this woman. It turns out he had an affair with a slave woman. He's the local reverend, and he was going to drown her because she's pregnant. So Jude Law saves her, and then ties Philip Seymour Hoffman to a tree with like a confession, so they find him. And then later in the movie, while he's trying to escape some guys that are looking for deserters, he runs into the Reverend. By this time, they've like shaved his head, and he's on the run too. So they team up and then escape to another couple of scenes. They eventually get to Giovanna Ribisi's house, where at first they help him with a bull that drowned itself in a bog, and then he brings him back to his house where he's got a wife and he lives there with her sisters. And then the idea is the sisters are really horny. Seymour Hoffman's character is really horny, and they get him drunk so they could have sex with him and Jude Law. And then Ribisi leaves and comes back with the home guard and betrays them. But, like, it didn't seem like a plan, right? Like, had it been a plan, like, he would have had to have pulled his own bull into the bog, drown it, so when they showed up, they'd have a reason to, like, help him out, so he could then trust them and then go to his house. So, like, he just takes them to his house, and they get, like, rip-roaring drunk, so they're easy for the home guard to capture. So, in retrospect, I think it was supposed to be a plan, but when you think about it, it kind of wasn't a plan. But anyway, they get captured. So now Philip Seymour Hoffman and Jude Law are all chained up. Meanwhile, we keep cutting back to Nicole Kidman. Teague is sexually harassing her constantly. And Renee Zellweger now starts another thread of a story about her dad. So her dad shows up. He's the fiddler, right? Brendan Gleeson. He's the fiddler. And, but, like, she doesn't get along with him. But then she sets a trap for corn thieves, and he gets caught in the trap. And then they bandage him up. And then, like, he's working on, like, trying to make up for being a bad dad or something. You see all the male characters in this movie. Jude Law is walking 300 miles to be with Nicole Kidman and he's loyal to her throughout the whole movie. Brendan Gleeson, bad father, trying to make up for it. Bunch of the guys die. Bunch of the guys are evil. It's like, are there any male role models in this movie at all? Now, it's not for men, granted, but like it just seems a little too one-sided. But that's my perspective. Anyhow, it's just more and more drama. Jude Law, a bunch of other stuff happens to him. So him and Philip Seymour Hoffman are chained together with some other guys because they get captured eventually, and then they have to escape the Home Guard, and in the process, they all get killed except for Jude Law. He manages to survive. Then some old lady helps him out. So again, the old lady has her S together. Jude Law is like, he needs help. He needs help. The men need help. The women got it together. Renee Zellweger, who is very good in the movie, is making strides to mend fences with her dad. Oh, and Ethan Suplee plays like, I don't know, a slow kid who works with Brendan Gleeson, and also like Brendan Gleeson plays the violin, and Ethan Suplee plays the banjo. Oh, and then the third guy in their band is Jack White from the White Stripes. Can he act? They don't really give him anything to act, really. But he's okay. I mean, he's passable. It's just weird to see Jack White in the movie. So, he could definitely play an instrument, obviously, so that looks legit. Anyhow, the Home Guard eventually catch up to Brendan Gleeson, and when Jack White goes to take a poop because they ate a bad deer meat, and then they shoot Ethan Suplee, they shoot Brendan Gleeson. Ethan Suplee dies. Jack White goes for help. Renee Zellweger and Nicole Kidman come and find Brendan Gleeson still alive. At the same time, Jude Law is getting closer and closer and closer. And finally, after 2.5 hours, he gets to Nicole Kidman. Right? So they have big reunite. For a second, it looks like she's going to shoot him, and then she recognizes them, a whole thing. And like, they drag this out. I mean, the movie's 2.5 hours. That's too long. They drag it out. Maybe in the book, these scenes came off better, because certain scenes in a book do play differently. But in this movie, it was just like, come on, he's standing right there. Just move this thing along. Anyhow, he has a hot sex scene with Nicole Kidman, who's pretty naked in it, if you want to see it. But goes on long. You forget about nudity in movies these days. Quite frankly, they don't do it much anymore. Anyhow, they have a big sex scene, and then Nicole Kidman and Renee Zellweger is going to get some supplies, and they're going to keep up this charade because they're in some kind of Indian cabin up in the mountain. So then a home guard finds them. And finally, we get the final confrontation with Teague and all his little evil minions. So it's Teague versus Renee Zellweger, Nicole Kidman, Jude Law, and who else is it? I guess Jack White in it? I guess he is. And there's a big shootout. And then, big spoiler coming up. You ready? Okay. Jude Law dies. Like, he saves everybody and kills all these guys. And then he gets shot too, and he dies. And then there's a resolution where, like, it's a few years later. Nicole Kidman's had a kid because she had sex with Jude Law. Renee Zellweger's married to Jack White, the only male who survived this thing, just about. And the surviving characters are all happy now, weirdly. and they got a bunch of kids, and it's all good on the prairie, and they're mixed family. It's a weird movie. It's a weird movie. Didn't feel like a Civil War movie. Didn't feel like a cowboy movie. Didn't find it romantic in the slightest for me. Because it to me it was so hyper focused on Nicole Kidman, who's, again, in my view, a terrible actress. But in a couple of movies she's kind of tolerable. But in this movie, weirdly, there's a few scenes later in the movie where her makeup changes and she seems to have a ton of makeup on. I'm not sure why. She looks like she's in full makeup later in the movie, and earlier in the movie it looks like they didn't put that much on her. Looks like they layered it on with a friggin' one of those bricklayer things later in the movie, and I'm not exactly sure why they did that. Renee Zellweger looks way more consistent than she does, and I never noticed this stuff, so it was an odd thing for me to notice. I'm not sure. Maybe because they changed to sound stages in those scenes, possibly. But it was kind of tough to tell. I mean, a lot of people die in this movie. It just doesn't feel like anything other than, here's the next drama. Here's the next bit of drama. Enjoy. It's not fun. There's no really... The fun scenes are like these boring scenes where, like, Ethan Suplee plays a banjo and smiles dumbly. Like, that's supposed to be like a fun scene. It's not. It's stupid. Brendan Gleeson does his... I mean, he's amazing in it. He's just an amazing actor. There's a scene with Natalie Portman too that is so unnecessary. I mean, because to me, putting Natalie Portman in a movie is unnecessary, but it's just like, she's a single mom because her baby daddy's dead, and then the Union soldiers attack her, and then Jude Law has to save the day, and then they have to add, Cillian Murphy's in it, by the way. There are just so many people in this damn film. So Cillian Murphy, before he was really big, plays a Union soldier who's with the other Union soldiers who harass her, but he feels bad. So at one point they put her baby on the ground, and he's the only soldier to have any kind of compassion, and he kind of like wraps the baby up. But then when Jude Law kills the other soldiers and saves Natalie Portman, he says to Cillian Murphy, take off your boots and clothes and get the hell out of here. And as he's running away, Natalie Portman runs in the house, rushes back with a rifle and kills him. Like, shoots him in the back. Which, what was that for? I mean, he was the only one of the soldiers to do anything kind to your baby. And you shoot him in the back. Once again, Natalie Portman proving to me that she should not be in movies. And I don't understand what these scenes are. Like, it's just like another scene. It doesn't really do anything for Jude Law's character, right? Like, there's temptation, I guess you could say. There was temptation in the Odysee scene where he's with all the sisters, and temptation with Natalie Portman, who's alone. But, this is a romance movie, number one, so that nothing's going to happen, and it doesn't seem like he has a moment of like, ooh, maybe I could just stay here and have sex with this woman one time. And, sorry, I gotta answer this. Like, there's no conflict. He's like hyper focused to get back to Nicole Kidman, and then he does, and he dies. Like, who the hell wants to see this? Like, it doesn't feel organic. It feels like, okay, hey, he finally gets back to her. Oh, let's kill him, because that'll be a dramatic scene too. Like, yeah, and then I don't know, weird cast of character, has this weird mixed family. Um, you know, and the villains, they had this blonde kid who's one of Teague's sidekicks. He's just a complete another psychopath. Like, I'm killing people kind of psychopath. It's like, you didn't need that in the movie. It just was over the top, too much. I just wanted that to end. So, very sad. Don't like it. But, I you can like it. You don't have to like what I like. It's, to me, I would want to say, why this guy walks 300 miles. And they do have a scene where they go back and forth and talk about that, but it comes super late in the movie. We're talking 2 hours and 15 minutes into a 2.5 hour movie. And again, like, they're really kind of telling us where they really should be showing us why he loves her so much, And in fact, they point out in the movie, like, you barely know me. So it's like, she waits for him all these years, but then throws that in his face. Like, well, you barely know me. Well, bitch, I walked all the way out here. I walked 300 miles, And that's another thing, too. They don't really make it clear he walks that far in the movie. I'm sure that's clear in the book. But, you had all this dialogue, you had all these encounters, you had all these characters. You could have had one scene where it's like, oh, I got another 100, I walked 200 miles, or one of the characters say something like, well, where did you come from? And he tells them, and they go, that's got to be 200 miles away. And then you get an idea. Yeah, walking to Cold Mountain. Oh, well, that's at least another 100. I can't believe you made it this far. Like, that should have been a scene in the movie to give us the idea of the lengths he was walking to. And not only that, a scene in a movie where, somebody asks him, why are you doing this? Like, oh, I'm walking for this girl and I love her, and, something like that. They kind of hint at it in a couple of scenes, but, they're too busy doing these little side stories with Seymour Hoffman and these other characters. And it's like, it's a little too epic, and it takes away from the focus of what the story is really supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the romance. And yeah, I get it, they're not having a romance. But another problem with it too is, he finally gets there and he only got like 3 of her letters, and she wrote him like 100 letters. So, which I guess would be like the one moment in the movie I thought, oh, well, that's more realistic, that they didn't really have a good mail service back then. But that's a one moment you didn't want a realistic situation. That's the moment you wanted the letters to get through, so he would say something romantic like, well, I read every letter, but words fail me, and I can only write you back at certain times or whatever. Something. Yeah, so I mean, it was a crazy ride, I gotta admit. So I don't remember this movie at all in 2003. Oh God, where would I have been in 2003? Not watching this movie, that's for sure. But apparently this got all kinds of nominations and won. Who the hell remembers this? Oh, my girlfriend does. So, I mean, it gets 7.2 on IMDb. That's pretty decent rating for IMDb. I don't see the appeal, though. I really don't. It didn't feel romantic. It definitely didn't feel like a Civil War movie at all. But Renee Zellweger does breathe life into the movie, and Brandon Gleeson is really good. So, I mean, you could look at that much of it. But the core of the movie is Nicole Kidman and Jude Law. And Nicole Kidman, I think, is about as interesting as a Post. And Jude Law barely gets anything to do, really, other than he's walking around and constantly escaping. But he's not, his character's not growing, or we're not really seeing him tempted or frustrated or expressing himself. He's just moving from one thing to the next. And not for nothing, like, I've talked about a lot of woke movies on this channel. This movie, I would say, is woke. I would say it's woke because it's hyper focused on the female characters who do all across the board do better than the male characters. The male characters all get screwed or are terrible or, whatever. Like, the only one who comes out kind of ahead is Jack Black. He's the only one that's not terrible to begin with, per se, and then lives at the end and has a good life. Everybody else gets screwed or dies or is just terrible. So this was 2003. So again, the woke stuff in Hollywood didn't just appear one day. It was always sort of building. And this, to me, was a good example of it. And it got all kinds of awards on top of that. So, anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on the green site, the orange site, and the black site for more videos. Check me out tomorrow on the live stream where we do it live. I will not be returning to Dragon Shops in Bridgeton tomorrow because, and this is Sunday, you're probably seeing this on Sunday, because of the weather. The weather's not looking great for tomorrow. I know they're still probably having it for those of you who are local, but I'm not going because, I have a lot of books and I just don't feel, I got a bad feeling about the weather tomorrow, let's just say. And the reports don't look good, so I bailed. Next for me is Monday at Brick, New Jersey, at Complete Care at 2 p.m. Again, it's for the residents and their families, so please call ahead. I'm not sure if they allow outsiders. Some people do, some people don't. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the live stream tomorrow.